right at that grassroots level.
For everybody's benefit, would you mind coming up here and you can state the question better than I can make it.
I work with community groups at the grassroots level. Most of my work has to do with the health effects that happen to people that no one listens to until we find a way to get their voices out where they can be heard. Grandmothers and mothers who look after the sick, where there's clusters of cancer or leukemia. Environmental groups, and I love you guys so much, avoid the health question. At the same time, I understand my role, as you're saying, is to bridge the voices of the upper echelon economists and CEOs with the government people and all of these groups that we're now looking to come into some kind of harmony with so that we can be effective and take action. I want to know from you, with this difficult position where people have been antagonists, in my experience today, 32 years as an environmentalist, guy said to me, those tree huggers, we got no room for them. You know, it's a hard place to be, and that's okay. What do we do?
You know what the common denominator in all of this is? People's fear. Fear of not having enough, fear of not knowing what's going to happen. When I deal with conflicts, I have to get their fears on the table. That's why I take them out into the field. I go where the problem is, and I get their feelings out. Now that can be tough at times. I've had to stand between people, so if they hit each other, they hit me first. Literally, the CEO of a timber company and an environmentalist. And I remember one young man in New Mexico that was rabid. He was doing everything but frothing at the mouth at industry. And I asked him, who are you trying to slay? And it turned out that he was Jewish. And his parents had been in a concentration camp. And somehow, in his growing up, it instilled in him that authority was not to be trusted, and he was fighting Nazis. And so I told him, my family, I'm not Jewish, but my mother's family was Jewish. And we lost everything to the Nazis too. But these folks aren't Nazis. They're frightened just as you are, that they're going to lose something and they don't know what they're going to do. So I would like you to come with us and help us frame a vision to overcome this fear. And by the end of the 3 days, the people he was attacking asked him to be in charge of the education because he understood the fear so well. You have to get the fear out. And the thing that has to happen is you have to do it with somebody to facilitate it again that is as neutral as possible, and pick somebody who does not ask you anything about the problem. When I go to do a conflict resolution, I don't want to know what the problem is, except in the most general terms. Because I'm human, I cannot help but be biased based on my experience of the world. But if I go there ignorant of the problem, I can listen to it, they educate me, and they're educating themselves at the same time. It's the first time they've ever all heard one another all the way through. And then it begins to be solved because they all get their fears out, and they find out that 80% of everything that they're afraid of together. It's called insecurity. It's called loss. Now we have the basic building foundation. So my question to you would be, what are you all afraid of? Let's get it out on the table and see if together we can overcome our fear. Fear is doubt. If you're interested, there are some flyers in the back I brought. I don't have many of the books I've written. One of them is The Perpetual Consequences of Fear and Violence, Rethinking the Future. And in that, I also put them up on my website. I have some conversations with fear, and it tells me how it operates. And fear is based on one thing, doubt. It's the moment you step into the future, you're stepping into an illusion, but we give it and strengthen it with our belief. And fear is taught. I remember being in an airport where two little kids, one black and one white, about 2 years old, saw each other. They ran up, they hugged, slobbery kisses flew. It was beautiful. All they recognized was that they were each children. The mother looked around wildly to see who was looking. They went over, each grabbed a kid and took them to the opposite sides of the airport. That's when fear is taught. Fear has to be taught. Because it has to be taught, it can also be untaught. It can be overcome. I used to teach skiing. The hardest thing I had to do was have somebody unlearn a bad habit in order to learn a new one. So, the one thing about a vision statement that's critical to understand, it gets everybody's fears on the table, and it is preventative conflict resolution. Because if you agree, you don't fight. It's preventative conflict resolution, preemptive conflict resolution. And so it's critical to save you a lot of time and money.